The third step on the path of romance is to appreciate instead of criticize. Now, I don't know about you, but the things that first attracted me to my husband are now the things that can tend to drive me crazy. My husband, as I've said, is very fun-loving. You know, he signs his emails with life, laughter, and levity. He's all about joy and happiness and, you know, just light. And now, you know, I tend to be a more serious type person, and we can be interacting with people, and I have actually been known to say to him afterwards, "Hey, can you tone that down a little bit?" Ooh. You know, it's amazing how those things that first attracted me, I mean, I loved it that he was the life of the party. I knew he could bring me right into the middle of all the fun, and I really wanted to be there. I just had no idea how to get there. He was my ticket in. And I just loved it. His sense of humor is zany, and I laughed at all of his jokes, and now I'm telling him to tone it down. Oh, kind of reminds me of just focusing on the negative, you know, seeing something positive and now seeing it as negative. As the story about two little boys, and it was their birthday, and they were each put in two different rooms. The one little boy was put in a room filled with toys of every kind, shape, size, and color. And he's in this room, and he's looking around, and he's examining everything, and you can tell he's looking for something. He is looking for something, and it's a bike. And he is not seeing a bike, and what he really wanted was a bike. And so he's criticizing, he's complaining, he's not happy at all. Then, in the other little room, they put this little boy in a room filled with manure. And he is clawing his way through this mess. And somebody heard him say, "There's got to be a horse in here somewhere." You know, we can tend to be like one or the other with our husband. You know, you married the guy. You saw his good and positive qualities when you were dating. Otherwise, I trust you wouldn't have said yes. And I do. You know, these same things are in him, and they're begging you to be called out. We need to call these things out of our husbands. We need to appreciate the good in our husbands instead of criticizing them. I had another woman write to me, and she is married to a very laid-back husband. He's very laid back, and she's super bubbly, light, and intense. I just love her. She's got a great personality, and her husband is just the sweetest guy you would ever want to meet. And she was telling me the story that they were having trouble with their minivan, and the engine was starting to make some noises, and she said, "Honey, you got to take that van in for repair." And he didn't do it. And he didn't do it, and it was getting worse and worse until finally the van stopped working. And that's when they called the tow truck, brought it in, and found out that because they had waited so long that the expense was going to be huge, they didn't have money to spare, so this was an issue. And he had called her at home to tell her about the bill and how much it was going to cost. And she was just getting madder and more angry by the minute. She thought because he waited so long, because he procrastinated so long, now we've got this massive car repair bill. And she was just working herself up. Have you ever been there? Yeah. You're working yourself up to a lather, and it's like when he gets home, he's just going to have it, you know, I'm going to give it to him. But, you know, she had heard me speak on this topic, and that's why she was writing to me, and she said, "I began to think of all the things that I appreciate about my husband. And the fact that I want to be a stay-at-home mom and teach our kids at home, and he works hard in a job that he does not enjoy, so that I can do that with our boys, and how he's so good and so gentle with me. And she began to focus on the good. She began to look for the horse in the mess. And she said that by the time he came home, she met him at the door and threw her arms around him and said, "It's okay. We'll find the money somewhere. It's okay." That young woman made a good choice. She chose not to disrupt the romance and intimacy in their marriage. She chose to appreciate him, and because of that, there wasn't a disruption in that unity that they had been experiencing.